It's Alien Spaceship, and what I'm going to be talking about is the some opinions on the Karen Reed trial, and also I was doing a stream before, and it didn't exactly work out too well because there were some issues with the connection. And what I'm going to do instead is doing this phone live instead. So basically, what is going on is that I hope everybody is having a good evening, afternoon, wherever the time is where y'all are. And I have been reviewing the Karen Reed trial. So this is a trial that has happened last year, and it ended with a mistrial. And also, I want to say that some of you may be watching this from anywhere around the world or the country, and I appreciate that. And basically, what happened was there was a mistrial that happened because the jury could not decide on a verdict about if she was guilty or not. And today there is trial coverage, and I was watching it, and the trial ended early and abruptly today. Not abruptly, but it ended early on the Law and Crime channel. There was Jesse Weber, who was talking with an attorney, an expert about it, his take on it. So this is what happened. So basically, she went and allegedly hit her boyfriend with the vehicle. And some people think that, maybe was she angry at her boyfriend? Was she upset with him? And then she did it on purpose? Is that something that occurred? That is something some people wonder. Or was it something that was a mistake? And basically, what happened was, I think that, in my opinion, it's a very complicated answer. So she had the trial last time, and the jury couldn't decide a verdict, so it became a mistrial. And also, when that occurred, the mistrial occurred, they had to have a new trial. And there's also some alleged situations with the Karen Reed trial where there is some corruption that is occurring in that area. And I do think there's corruption is there, and obviously, and then there's dishonorable, the person in charge of their forces had to be, let down because it was wrong. Yeah. So hello, everybody. I'm talking about my opinion on the Karen Reed trial and just giving a backstory about it. And basically, I think that the burden of proof isn't completely there to show that she is guilty in the Karen Reed trial. At the same time, it doesn't mean she didn't do it. It just means that there wasn't enough evidence and proof to convict her, in my opinion, because it has to be clear as day that she did it. That's what the burden of the prosecution has to prove. And other people think that she did it on purpose, and a lot of people think, which I think is that it's possible, that she may have hit him by mistake. So my opinion about it is that I think that perhaps she hit him by mistake and then went and just didn't realize that she did it and doesn't have recollection of it, or she could be pulling off something we've seen before where they don't recall what is happening, because you'll have that situation with the trials, where they'll have someone on the stand and they say don't recall. Like, for instance, there is some witnesses that were saying that they didn't recall what they said last time, and it can be difficult to remember what happened last time. But at the same time, I think that, in my opinion, you can't always, you have to remember something that you did last time. And hello, Breeze. It's great to see you. And so I think that it's a little bit suspicious that some of the people don't remember what what they were saying last time on the stand. And shout out to Bubbles, the cat, who's being chatty right now. And so I think that other factors to consider is both sides, and I think it's something that more being on the fence about, and I do want to see as this second retrial goes to really make an accurate opinion about it. But as I said, my position is the burden of proof isn't really there from the prosecution, the state, to really prove that something happened. Also, I don't completely see the point where they're a reliable source, because there's also corruption at the same time. And when you have corruption, hello, Alan, good to see you, buddy. And I'm talking about the Karen Read opinion. So there's no burden of proof to show that Karen Read did this, and there's also clearly corruption that's involved with up there in Massachusetts. And like Alan was saying before, that I forgot the exact name of the person, but he had to be dishonorably discharged for corruption up there, and up there in MA, the abbreviation of the state. And so you have those two different factors. The burden of proof isn't there, and you have this other factor where you have a situation where there's a corruption involved, right? So Alan says, I agree. I don't see how the jury can find her guilty. At the very least, it will be a hung jury, but I think they will find it not guilty. Understood. I think that too. That makes sense. And I also think with the situation with Read is that just arguments that some people made for her being guilty that was brought to me because I see what both groups are saying. And about her being guilty is that, like Moki was saying, she called her father right after it happened. She seemed to know where the body was. Also, hello, Middle Ground, good to see you. Welcome. And also another factor that to take into consideration that they're saying is she knew where the body was, apparently or allegedly. She called her father right afterwards. And some people think the conspiracy that it was all set up is too big. That's what they're saying. And I think that it's very possible, and at the very least, she did it by mistake. But what I think is that it could go really either way. But it doesn't necessarily mean she's guilty. This is just some arguments people had that she is guilty. And I do also want to caution anybody, from having any kind of bias towards people, because I try to look at these cases, which I'm not perfect. I'm not saying that I in the future won't be tempted to be biased or haven't been biased in the past. But I think it's important for people to not have looking things through a bias that they dislike someone or not. And there is a lot of parade. There is a lot of celebrity status that has been made out of some of these people when they're on trial. And as I said, this is maybe occurring with her. So, yeah, as I said, through an unbiased opinion, just looking at the situation, I do not see the burden of proof that she did it, but she could have done it, or certainly by mistake. Especially you saw the injury on him. It looks like a dog or some animal scratched him. That's what it looks like to me. It doesn't look like he was hit by a vehicle, but he could have been hit by a vehicle, and complications with that, or hitting the ground, it could have scratched him. It's going to be more than a bruise. And, all right, so, hello, Wayne, good to see you. And the last time I went live, the internet was having some Temu issues, and it's okay. It must just be kind of worn out from all the streaming I've done. But a Middle Ground has a good point. And see, her own words are a problem. She thought she would walk away last time, took the funds from the docutrees and opposes. All right. Yeah, Middle Ground. And thank you for your point. Another thing I forgot to mention, which was on the tip of my tongue from Oki, is that Karen Read admitted to doing it. And she kept asking if she hit him or not. And she kept on going, oopsies. Oh, okay. Scared. Oopsies. Yeah, so basically, when you're admitting to a crime, you are incriminating yourself. And also, it's, being clear if she, did it or not. When she clearly says guilty, that is a factor. But I do want to also, as a double hull, as a backup cushion, I want to make sure that she, let's really, even if someone confesses to a crime, let's see if somebody confesses to it at the same time. Not confesses to it, but if somebody is finding themselves in a situation where the evidence is actually there that they did it. Like, somebody could say they did something, but there's no proof or evidence they actually did it. There could be other reasons why somebody would admit guilt or think they were guilty about something. So that's something to take into consideration. Shout out to Bubbles. He's excited for the stream. And should say oopsies. Oh, yeah, so I'll read this again. Her own words are a problem. She thought she would walk away last time, took the funds from the docu-series and oopsies. Okay. Yeah, hey, Bubbles. Yeah, shout out to Bubbles. Hey, Bubbles. They are glad to, hear you in the background. And also, you have, and hello, Five Cats, it's great to see you. And I haven't heard Karen Reed confess to anything. I've heard her questioning, could I have done this, whistle, and state of fear or panic. Exactly, Alan. If somebody is in, thank you, Five Cats, thank you. And I get the curls from my father's side, who is from, UK and England. I'm related to all the different islands and also other parts of Europe, too. Thank you. And also, yeah, because somebody could be in a panic. Somebody could be peer pressure to do it. And as I said, it's all alleged. It's like, I don't, like, even, like, I can't, like, even if I had the computer, there's nothing that says that I know of that she said she specifically did it. And also, Middle Ground says, if I unwittingly hit him, if she saw him go into the house, how could she hit him? Right? She called Daddy, worried she hit him, then busy dialing DUI attorneys. Okay. And also, she's being framed, in my opinion. Yeah, and in Middle Ground, I also taking what Middle Ground's saying into consideration, because it's good to, find the truth, and I don't want to completely ostracize or deny the side that's saying she's guilty either, without accepting it without reason. So basically, so what that means is it's always good for both sides to have an open mind. So this is why I do that. So when you have both sides being open, somebody's wrong, here. That's something we could all agree on. So if everybody was open to the other side, we eventually would find the truth or be open to it. So, but y'all understand what I do, because some people don't get it when I do that. Like, I'll be in chats or somewhere and I'll say that, and they don't understand what that means. But as I said, you could go, this person's right, this person's wrong, but it's just too polarized. So it's good to be open to what the other person's saying. And then you have Breeze says she's framed, in my opinion. There seems to be strong evidence, in my opinion, that she's being framed and that there's some sort of corruption going on. And they may, in my opinion, all speculation, you may perhaps even hearsay, that she wanted to have, no, not her, but they wanted to have him taken out for some reason. That he wanted to have that taken out for some reason, because he was in the police force. Maybe they wanted to take him out, or it was some sort of cover-up for some reason, and they had the different police people go and cover up the situation that was occurring and not have, the corruption take place. And that is something that may be very well true, that maybe she is being framed for what they did, and they intentionally had this situation where they could have staged an event, because, as I said, it doesn't look like he was hit by a car. It looks like some kind of not a vehicle, but some animal got him or something. And, when I don't know what it's like when someone's hit by a vehicle and they're thrown to the side. Maybe that's what happens. Scared. But you're welcome, Middle Ground. You're welcome. And also, I want to also read what the chat's saying. So that's my position. She may be framed for it. That's very true, too. There's certainly corruption. And Moki said they can be corrupted, and also she could be still guilty at the same time. And Aaron says, for me, so far, it's the judge. I'm so surprised she runs her courthouse that way, unbelievably biased. Yeah, and another thing, a third factor in this is that bias is extremely not good to have, and especially for a judge to be biased. So you don't only have a corrupted police force and fire department, whatever it is, you also have a corrupted, yes, scared to bubbles. You also have the scared. You also have the fire department going and saying they're being corrupted. You have the state being corrupted. You have the other factors with the judge being biased. I mean, it looks like a big mess. Even if she clearly did it, there's too much bias. There's too much, their burden of proof isn't there. So there's situations where somebody could commit a crime as clear as day, and there's just not the burden of proof to convict them for it. So everybody that thinks that she's guilty, very true, maybe so. But if the burden of proof isn't there, they can't really do it. Well, they can do it, but it won't be completely right. All right. Alan says, I'm not. In my opinion, the only charge Karen Read should be facing is second-degree manslaughter because the jury found her not guilty of second-degree murder, leaving the scene resulting in deletion. Okay, understood. I like to watch the trial as a juror, so the only important thing is for the evidence in the trial. I do not think murder is a good charge. All right. And I heard she was evidently this way in the first trial. It amazes me she was a judge for the second. Yeah, there's a rumor you're not supposed to say that on YouTube, but I don't really know if it's true or not. Scared. Why do you rehome your family members, redo your basement, sell your house? It's odd to me. Absolutely. That's another thing that'd be odd as well. Yeah. The jury did not find anything other than hung reports of Delibes are not a verdict. Understood. Whether she hit him or not, the lying and corruption by the Canton police and Mick Alberts are horrible people. And why didn't Officer Alver come outside with police and sirens outside? Exactly. It's like you're supposed to have a certain protocol and a certain conduct. And on YouTube, I've known there's a Chicago police officer that I was on a show with, shout out to him, rest in peace. And he would talk about on the police force that basically, how it's supposed to be done and things like that. And he was a cool dude. And there's other police people in the police force that I know of that are fine. But you see, you had this other police force that's completely corrupted, that doesn't act right. They act like a bunch of Temu police officers. That's what they're like, in my opinion. They're like from Temu. And I know Alan likes to get things from Temu, and he has good orders. I've gotten things from Temu also, but Temu's kind of like a meme now. And yeah, but absolutely, Dwayne. It's like, why are they doing this? It's like, what's going on here? We have all this corruption, and guilty or innocent, the corruption should be exposed. You cannot have a police force in this country that is being shady like that. And basically, I think, in my opinion, you have to have it done completely correct, the way investigations are. So, and what if something else happens later to somebody else that is trying to go, and if something happens and they're arrested for a crime they did or didn't do, and you have this corrupted police force. So certainly they need some help up there. Scared. I don't think she did it herself any favors releasing her documentary before trial. Oh, absolutely. I think that in this situation, in this situation, certainly she. I'm being a little bit of a Timu here. I got to go reread that. Oh yeah, I know this from learning about stuff from YouTube with law stuff I've watched. So with law, you're supposed to not go on a show when you're in the middle of a trial and go and defend yourself, or not even defend yourself, go and talk about the case like that. And there's certain ways to do it, especially if there's no charges. Like somebody is like completely innocent and they have no charges against them, and they go on a show and talk about how they didn't do anything. It's transparent and honest. But she even says in an interview she doesn't know if she hit him or not, if I recall correctly, and she seems real like agitated and angry. And I never heard her talk before, by the way. And yeah, it's best not to do that. I'm not a legal expert. I'm not an attorney, but I'm like a Timu armchair attorney. So basically, I would advise no one to ever do that in an interview unless there is like some exception. Like if they say like the Timu boogeyman that doesn't exist got kicked down the flight of stairs, it doesn't exist. I mean, don't even do it in that situation. But yeah, it doesn't exist. You could talk about it, but this other situation, especially the way you articulate it. Another thing, like say with movies, people love movies, and a lot of times with a movie, it's the way the feeling you get off the movie or a song rather than what they're saying, or a stream or anything and like that. And I think that the way she presented herself and being agitated, I don't know if it was the best factor to way she acted there, and I just don't think it was very inappropriate on an ongoing case to go and try to advertise what she was doing, on a documentary. It's the best not to do that. Devil's advocate here, these still considered circumstantial, so waiting for hard evidence, but I'm only in and out of the trial. Maybe I missed something important. Okay, understood. A chat will fill you in if you miss something, and I will too. Replaced by the basement floor, got rid of the dog, then moved to a third 3 months. Yeah, that's another, another thing that could take into consideration is like what's going on with that. Yeah. How many other people has Proctor and his gang? The word Proctor sounds like something for like like something from the Old West. But anyway, Proctor and his gang sent jail wrongly maybe makes me wonder. Oh, I agree, and that's very horrid to send people to prison, wrongly for no reason. And then you have Breeze says, and the feds have the bulk door with John's DNA. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we have to also take into consideration about that as well. And also, John and the feds have bulk door with John's DNA. Timu armchair detective. LOL, good one. Thank you. And Wayne says, never give an interview before a trial. That was not smart. That was not smart. It was a Timu idea. And hello, Tina. Good friend. Great to see you. And Aaron says, as bad as an idea it was, didn't it work out with her getting fans? Social pressure exposing corruption, and how else did you push that? All right. A proctor also resides over people taking tests or exams. Oh, I didn't know that. Proctor pin it on the girl. Okay, Tina, yeah. Oh, hello, Duke. It looks like there's a lot of chats here. Hello, Amy. And then you have these lives, Alien, have these lives. Thanks for having these lives. So hard to chat about this during the trial. Oh, yeah, there's so many people and all. Yeah, definitely. And Amy. All right, so hello, everybody. Welcome to the Timu stream. The other stream that was supposed to be here got scared, and it's not currently, running at the moment. But I mean, what I mean is this stream's running, but the other one wasn't. Yeah, that's true. You have to work during the trial, so you can't talk very much. All right. Yeah, and as I said, I would also advise people to understand that it's an ongoing case, and people will have to make up their own opinions about what they think. Because remember, and it could change. Like, for instance, somebody's going to school and they're going to study for something, and they switch what they're going to do later. And I think that applies to this. Like, maybe I or you may change your opinion later about what the verdict might be. Miss some people. Sorry, I'm cooking. Yeah, Bree says shout out to everybody, and also the people that are lurking too. Proctor's a tip of the iceberg of how he treats his grape victims. Scared. Yeah, Alien, I'm usually working on something, so it's just in my earbud most of the day. Although I love another trial where all the criminals. Yeah, I know. It's kind of like with Smoke and Scan, there's no chases going on, and we're all like wondering where all the good chases are. Yeah. And that's good that y'all have mutual agreements on some things. Hi, I'm only a partially lurking. All right, we have a partially lurking lurker. Scared. All right. Yeah, so basically, those are the factors with Reed. And another thing that Aaron pointed out, I have to give a shout out. Oh, Lynn, it's great to see you. Also, and also, what do I think about the texts back and forth? Yeah, so earlier in the trial, in the retrial, they were showing a scene, some slideshows, I guess we're going to call it a slideshow of various text messages, that were going back and forth, yeah. And I saw that. So basically with the text messages going back and forth, I think that in that case, it does show about what is going on, and I do not know if it really affects it in a good or bad way, in the sense that it's kind of like neutral, it seemed. It didn't seem anything damning either way, but maybe as the trial goes on, we'll see if it does. That's just my opinion about it, but if people have a different opinion, I like to see a different perspective. And the text didn't have any effect on me at all. Couples go back and forth like that all the time. And, I think that basically, like what Chat was saying, like what Justice was saying before, is that couples fight all the time. And even friends fight all the time. Friends, anybody, people have their disagreements. No, Alan, I know the difference, but since I'm Alien Spaceship sound effects, I like to say effects. And it may be also a bit of a habit for me that I say effects instead of effects. But as I said, it's a little bit of an alien quirk about me. Since 2017, I've been using effects because of that video that is thousands of views now that I named my channel after. But yeah, it's supposed to be FX. That's true. But as an alien, I use both. Scared. Yeah, so couples, people, like in the chat, everybody has their conflicts here and there. And hello, Mary Toodles. I'm doing a phone live. And also, so I think that in the situation, it is like we have to wait and see, but I don't think it's anything too bad. It's something interesting, though. It's something interesting that could be a thing that may affect it or not. It could be, but as I said, it's normal for people to get in fights. And Reed seems to be very spicy. She seems like in her interview, she gets angry and passionate about things. So, it doesn't mean that she's going to go and delete him, though. But it could. It's possible. But another thing, I remember when the first day when her attorney was walking in, I know he has a name, but I'm calling him an attorney. And he looked like he was going to go in an MMA fighting. He was like red. He was going to go punch someone in the face. I swear he could go in a ring and probably win. Like he was ready to fight, and he was real zealous. Regardless of what you think of him, he was really zealous when he was doing his opening and putting the burden on the prosecution to prove it, like what Alan was and I were discussing before. I'll see what y'all are saying in y'all's chats, because y'all said some things. All right, let's see. No, your effects are used correctly. I think I used it wrong. There you go, buddy. And Cecil is laughing. By the way, Cecil, it's great to see you. I'm glad that, I don't know if I addressed you or not, but it's great to see you here too. And then you have Amy says, OMG, those texts are painful to hear, and I feel like I saw this episode already. I think I agree with you. I think I've seen it as well. And it sounds like both John and Karen were both jealous types. Yeah, definitely. And so another factor Aaron brought up is that there could be a possible situation where she wants fans and attention and like a following. And I know I'm the one saying this on a live stream, but my point is that there's maybe a theory is that maybe she wants some money out of this. Maybe she wanted some more fans and people, because there's a lot of people that are fans, like people like aliens that talk on about trials, and people may like, she's a very attractive lady. That's another factor people would like about her, and that they feel she's innocent. So naturally, I think people naturally become fans or idolize her case because it might be inspiring for a better justice system, a better thing in general. But I that might just happen naturally. But maybe she liked the fame, she liked the attention. Maybe there is some. That's why with the documentary, was there some narcissism that she could have, which everybody allegedly to some extent could have some narcissistic levels. It could be something good, but could it be something like that she feels that it boosted her a little bit? Did she feel maybe more realistically that it was her case to defend her case better by going and saying on a documentary? And did she seek legal counsel to see if that was the best idea or not? Because if she got good legal counsel to do it, it was a Temu attorney that told her that. Because, like, for instance, Brian Steele, I think, is one of the greatest attorneys of all time, had Ashley Merchant defend him when the corrupted garbage of his actions were garbage. Actions are garbage. He doesn't mean he's garbage himself. Judge Glanville held Brian Steele in contempt and started a national and global outrage and caused the union of attorneys to stand outside the courtroom of solidarity for him. So, yeah, that was something very, and he had someone else defend him. It's always good. There could be some exceptions. There's one trial I saw from Law and Crime where there was one person that defended themselves, and he was either found not guilty or a hung jury, and that was one time. But most of this time, he was, when you defend yourself, it's not a good idea. So I think in a way, without her maybe realizing it, she was taking the stand and trying to defend herself. We remember with Teltwitness how he took the stand and he took his shoes off, and he said how he doesn't like being 5'2", joking, 5'8", or no, he's 5'6", my bad. Height doesn't matter, everybody, it's okay. But basically, which is, I think may have been irrelevant, and he was saying he didn't do it, but it's clear that he's wearing a white thing, and they're like coming up to him and talking, and he buried himself. And also that ogre lady that burned the house down and had the guy deleted. It was very sick, her and the accomplice, that what she did. She took the stand, and the Temu ogre, buried herself. So I think that it's important for people to go and have someone else defend them. There could be exceptions now. I'm not saying there are exceptions, but most of the time it's good to have another person defend somebody in that situation, because it will cause legal constipation. And all right, yeah. Shout out to Alan Jackson. He's another, I think, a cool attorney. He was really, as I said, he has a cool beard now, and he looks good with the beard or not. And He's real zealous, and I'm sure y'all ladies uh, were digging his opening and his like his confidence and his zealousness about it. I liked it too. I mean, he really was going at it. He was like he's gonna go fight. Even most lawyers wouldn't try to defend themselves in a trial. Exactly. He wears a ring. Ah, okay. So five cats. Unfortunately, he has a ring. He's a bad EOS for sure. And scared. Yeah. If Karen Reed is acquitted, she'll get a movie made, a book deal, interviews, all kinds of stuff. Well, yeah. There you go. I think that also makes sense. It sounded like both John and Karen were both jealous types. I read that before. Hey, Alien and everyone live. Who thinks Karen Reed is innocent? Scared. Well, Autumn, my position's very complicated. I'm going to say my position about it. It's a very long answer. It's not a long answer, but it's an answer that you won't forget. All right, so this is what I think, Autumn B. I think the circumstantial evidence is not there to convict her. I think that the judge is biased. I think there's corruption with their court system over there. And it seems that he wasn't necessarily, I don't say he wasn't hit by a vehicle, though injuries they show, which could be a strawman argument, does not really indicate that he was hit by a vehicle, and the prosecution has to have the burden of proof. Shout out to Capri Law. Last year, we talked a lot during the trials, and she taught me about burden of proof and stuff like that. And the other attorneys and other people there taught me things in the chat, very nice of them, and also Law and Crime themselves taught me things too. So yeah, and the burden of proof isn't there for one thing. Like, it could be true, and it's like, who else would have done it? The Easter Bunny or Timu Santa Claus or something. But so the other factor is who did it, which is kind of a straw man, but maybe not completely. So you have this other factor to take into consideration, is that with the corruption, this is the side that leaning that she's innocent, is that maybe they want to take the police officer out for some reason, or some accident happened. They're being drunken fools allegedly, and they had him delete it and blamed her for it. And who knows how many people have been framed unjustly like this in that case. So that is something to take into consideration. If we all, we're going to do something and we're framed for it, it would be like the worst feeling to ever experience. I wish never happened to any of us. But life happens. We can't control what we can't control, but all we can do is control our reaction to things. So I think that, in my opinion, then again, they were driving somewhere. She may have been drinking. And maybe another thing that's likely is that perhaps there was an accident that occurred. Another likely scenario is that she's somewhat involuntarily guilty, where she was not paying attention and she hit him by mistake. That's why thus she was wondering, did I hit him? Did I hit him? Then again, it might kind of reflect an innocence, because she would know if she hit him or not. Then again, maybe she's just saying that she did do it and she wants to get rid of him, and she's just saying that as a way to throw people off. But I do think that it is possible that she was perhaps framed, or another more likely scenario, because although I'm a conspiracy theorist, people might say the conspiracy might be far-fetched, but maybe not. It could be plausible considering the corruption. So basically, she was being backing up, and she did it by mistake, so it's involuntary. But then again, you have to prove that. As I said, someone could clearly do a murder, clear as day, but the burden of proof isn't there to convict them, and they get off the hook. And you got to remember that justice is important, and God willing, justice always happens. But you may have situations where justice may be, blind, and if someone wrong, there's people that are not guilty that get convicted. But with DNA, they're found guilty. You know how horrible that has to be in jail for 30 years, and then if the DNA said you're not guilty? That's horrible. But all there are times there's people that did it and get scot-free and just get off the hook. So I think that it is completely, you know that when you're dealing with legal stuff, you got to remember that in our human logic, that okay, someone did something wrong, they're guilty, but legally, if it's clear as day they did it, and there's no burden of proof, then they're innocent, and they get off the hook. You know, with quotations on the end. So she may have done it. She could have tried to get rid of him, like the state's trying to say she was fighting him and maybe she wanted to get rid of him. That doesn't necessarily prove that, though. They're trying with whatever they have, all right? So they're given credit for trying to defend their position. But, you know, is it or isn't it? It could be either way. It may not, it could be, but maybe not. And then again, if she will, another factor to take into consideration, I just thought of everyone to have an open mind here. The other thing, if she was really trying to delete him, why wouldn't she just hide him in the woods somewhere? This is not advice. I have never deleted anybody because I'm a nice alien. But basically, so all I'm doing is based on my research and criminology. So basically, what you would do is, why not just hide him in the woods somewhere or take his body somewhere, make it look like an accident? You know, why not leave him right out there in the open? So unless she did that to try to make it look like it was like she doesn't know what's going on, and she knew where she was, she knew where he was, but maybe she was just knows her boyfriend very well and how to find him if he's buried in the snow. You know, things like, you know, y'all saw me buried in the snow in January, so you know it could happen. Not in a bad way, but y'all saw. So if you saw me in the snow, oh look, it's Alien in the snow. So, but as I said, that is the factor of her being either innocent or involuntary. The other factor of her, okay, TJ and everybody, I appreciate the engagement. I'm kind of like on a rant, but I appreciate the chat talking, and I'll get back to y'all. I'm still, you know, I'm looking at what y'all are saying, of course, but, and basically, this is the position of why she is guilty. So from Moki and others. So basically, she was saying allegedly that she did it according to Moki. Now, Alan's saying that what Reed actually said is, am I guilty? Did I do it? Did I do it? Thank you, TJ. So that's what, did I do it? Did I do it? Did I do it? That's what she keeps, you know, saying. So, you know, is she doing that to throw people off and be deceptive, or does she not remember it and she did do it, or she didn't do it and she's just second guessing herself because of pressure? So that could be, you could go either way. Like, for instance, there is that, the Abigail and the other girls' murders, and the other case where the guy was convicted, where he may have been peer pressured by the state, you know, grilled to say he did a crime that he didn't do, allegedly, then he was found guilty of it. You know, it's kind of a situation like that, maybe, and maybe that guy did do it, I don't know. But, you know, people could be, God willing, that none of us break, God willing, but people could fall to peer pressure all the time. It happens every day, unfortunately, but God bless us all, we don't fall to peer pressure. And as I said, you know, may we all resist that. And basically, so she could have, that's why she could have said it, but maybe, as I said, she did do it and didn't remember. She also called her father right afterwards. It's like, why would you call your father right afterwards? And she seemed to know where he was in the snow. And maybe is she being like a psychopathic? These words are used interchangeably. I'm not even going to use those terms because that's irrelevant to this case. Could she have didn't like her boyfriend and deleted him and made a clever way of doing it where the burden of proof would not be there? Did she do it where she is putting up an act very well, like very, very good, to get people convinced she didn't do it, and she's still guilty? She could very well be guilty. You know, who else would have done it? It's something to think about. But as I said, if she did it, she's very, very clever. She's very clever. And then again, that's when we have to ask the question, is it really true? Then we don't have the burden of proof to really say that. So it's a catch-22. But I'm leaning, because of corruption, because of bias of the judge, I would, it may be leaning, certainly would be a not guilty or a hung jury again. But hopefully, if she really did do it, she doesn't delete anybody else. You know, but as I said, we don't know for sure. But it's 50-50. And chat, I appreciate y'all's engagement with this. And Aaron, I believe there's a lot of hearsay so far. And I'm done my little rant. I'm going to see what y'all are saying. All right, now if I want to thank everybody for engaging, I'll see if I could read everybody, what everybody's saying, because there's a whole world of information. All right. Okay, so I'm going to read what y'all are saying. So any new comments, I'll get into in a moment. I think she's innocent. If he was hit by a vehicle, how would the body get on the lawn by the driveway? Exactly. It's like, how would that happen? And if it's just like someone's hit by a vehicle, they're going to have different types of wounds on them. It's not going to look like a dog scratch or something. And it's a body, in theory, would have to be positioned a certain way. And I'm not a forensic analysis that specializes in that to exactly tell you all how that works. But yeah, exactly. That's another good point. I think John and something went on with them, in my opinion. And I'm waiting for anyone who thinks she's guilty to give their perspective. And Aaron says, to me, the cops seem crooked and they needed a scapegoat. Right? Harry one caught another live. I am torn. There is reasonable doubt. I believe they should let this case go. Unfortunately for the family, this case is where no one will know. And as I said, that this could be another sign she's guilty, actually, that she's just a very calculating deleter. And she was just calculating about it where she wouldn't be caught. I mean, maybe that's a sign she did it. But not necessarily, don't take that as gospel, please. Okay, but but as I said, or it's more likely that there's some other foul play going on here, or it was an accident. And so far, I see that. I love to hear both sides. I'm trying hard to see it from the other side. So as I said, I know the guilty perspective, and I know the innocent, and I explain both here. And I agree, there's obvious corruption in this case, and yeah, the whole beyond a reasonable doubt factor. And I think if she's guilty, it was manslaughter. She was harmed, definitely not permitted or anything. That's true. Why delete him in front of the police officer's house? Also, Lucky, the plow driver testified that he didn't see a body at 2:30 in the morning. Where was the body? Probably in the house. He was far from the driveway house, so odd. I agree with you, Alien, what you're saying. So far, the witness statements that said she did it. Is anything recorded? Did I hit him, etc.? Think yes. Yes, that is true. She did say that, and that may look like she did something wrong, or maybe she did it under peer pressure. Even Ryan Nagel said the only seen Karen in her vehicle at 34 Fairway. There is one record in any report that she said I hit him. Only people connected to the Albert or John McCabe claimed to have heard. I hate to see guilty people walk free, but even if she did, the investigation was botched. I wouldn't feel comfortable with her being convicted because, somebody else could be convicted for some other type of crime, in the future. And so, as I said, it's even a broader thing that it needs to be exposed, that what they're doing, so other people are not found guilty for something they didn't do or framed for a crime they didn't commit. That's maybe the most important thing of all. And I don't think she did it, but if she did, it was accidental. Maybe she just knew where he was because she knew where he go out of the car. And is it just me, or was there so much hearsay so far? Yes, a lot of hearsay. And it's very corrupt there. It's been forever in the city. Don't I think we'll ever know the truth? I wouldn't want to live in Canton because of fear from the popo. Scared. I'm here. All right. So before we say, is she guilty or innocent? As I said, I think that she did it by mistake if she did it. But I even gave you all some perspective why she might actually have done it on purpose. And then the other perspective is that for some reason they wanted to take out the dude on the police force. You see, he's on the police force. And it's not just anybody. He's on the police force. The police force is corrupted. Maybe he was going to expose something. Maybe he was a threat. Maybe it's like a gang and he did something wrong, and they're going to take him out and blame the girlfriend for it. And who's going to believe her? That's clearly a possibility. And she certainly was being, being framed possibly by this, allegedly. And then you have the factors that the body wasn't placed right, the injuries aren't really there. It doesn't seem that it's like what they're saying. And there's this corruption, there's bias from the judge. You had people in the past that thought the police forces were used by the state to cause, for their own gain. Now, in our country, mostly, this is controversial. I think there are good police officers and good police forces that are just trying to keep the community safe. But up there, it seems like an exception where their police force is corrupted, in my opinion, and they did it botched. And why are they doing it botched? What is there to hide? And if they are so incompetent, if she really is guilty, then we need to have a situation where they don't do this again to anyone else. So yeah, so she may have just been framed and she didn't do it. And by peer pressure, she said, did I do it? She's like, did I or did I not? She's like confused. So there you go, everybody. There's all the positions. All right. I've already made my mind about this case, and it would take a mountain of evidence to change my mind on this. I agree. Yeah, exactly. I don't see any conclusion. And also, okay, night, folks. Have dinner with my fam. See y'all tomorrow. Great chat as usual. Oh, Aaron, you have a blessed evening. Thank you so much for coming here. I'm glad you enjoyed my rant and our coverage on this topic. It's Sidebar with Alien Spaceship. Yeah. And hello, Danny. Good to see you, bro. Danny, we're talking about the Karen Read trial. And I'm giving my take on it. Hello, 666, my bro. Cute hat. My brother, I want a Woodstock hat. Woodstock from Snoopy. He has to be high, though. Maybe I can get ladies wearing that. Oh, yeah. That your wish is my command. You'll get the perfect Temu version. Yeah. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, and also, and you're very familiar with this Karen Read case, and 666, what I've been doing is I've been breaking down my opinion about what the factors in this. And, 666, I am doing great. Earlier through the computer live stream, there was some sort of the internet was kind of worn out or something right now, so I'm using this. Oh, I had a great day. I enjoyed seeing, I was in the chat briefly with y'all earlier before it ended, and I saw the trial. I saw the Karen Read madness today, and I'm giving my perspective on it. But yeah, my day's going great. Yeah, I'm enjoying myself, and I hope that you're doing good too, buddy. It's really great that you're here. And so basically, that we have the Karen Read. I'm just breaking down. People ask me, do I think she's guilty or innocent? And I think that it's good to view this with persistence, because it may not be as black and white as it may seem. It seems more like a gray area. So there seems to be corruption over, and you could give your take on this, 666, what you think. But you see, it seems from what I can gather, it's very corrupted. And it's seen with the police force, in my opinion, and also the judge seems to have bias, and they butcher the investigation if she's guilty or not guilty. And then you have this other factor where if she did do it, she did it by mistake. But then again, the way the body all looked, it wasn't like she was hit by a vehicle, according to what chat was saying. And also, I think it doesn't seem like that completely makes sense. So maybe they want to take him out. And he was part of the police force, so maybe they want to take him out and blame her for it. And also, if she did do it, she most likely didn't know she did it. But then again, another perspective is if she did do it, she was very calculating she was very good at hiding it, where it would look a certain way. She's very calculating about it, but I don't necessarily thinking that is necessarily true. But those are the three or four whatever perspectives that why she's guilty from the side that's saying she's guilty. Also, she allegedly was wondering if she did it or not. The side that's saying she's innocent, why she's innocent, and why it was involuntary. Yeah, I am from here. It's corrupted. When Rachel Rollins start there with Rachel Rollins, Josh Levy, and David Yannetti, Rollins was corrupt. She was the former U.S. attorney here. Well, thank you. And when you have a corruption, if she's guilty or not guilty, you got another factor here. You can't have them framing people for crimes or getting people locked up for something they didn't do. So it should be maybe not guilty to completely, without a shadow of a doubt, show them that they cannot be doing that anymore and the corruption is being exposed. Because we're not like countries like over in Europe and China. We're not supposed to have things like that here. There's corruption all over the world, and we have to. If our police force, it should be an honest police force, and there's corruption is not good. That's not good. So basically, yeah, from what I can gather, and thank you 666 for your take on it. That yeah, the corruption is not good, and what the elephant in the room is that they took him out, and they framed her for it. And imagine, the confusion she must feel by going through that, if that factor being true. And then other perspectives is that she was on a documentary. Was she trying to defend her case? Was she trying to, would she want some publicity? Was there some other factor that she wanted, but was she trying to defend her case? And just because people in text messages are fighting, couples fight all the time, friends fight all the time, and it seems that chat friends fight all the time too. But, as I've seen all over YouTube, there's these civil wars that happen in the different live streams I'm on, not just Law and Crime, but other places. And so I think that's something that could be a factor there, is that there was this, people might get in fights, but doesn't mean she wants to go and delete them. And she seemed very confused. So that's when people ask me if she's guilty or innocent. Those are factors we have to take into consideration. So the final closing about this is that I do not think, in my opinion, so far, unless there's a mountain of evidence, that the burden of proof is there. Like Capri Law was telling me about that last year. And yeah, there's not the burden of proof in the situation to really strongly convict her, in my opinion. But also, there was, because it's like if she did it or not, the evidence isn't there. And there's so much corruption. It's a nasty taste. It's like a good piece of food that went rotten, and it's best not to eat it. So, yeah. That is what I think, in my opinion, about this. And I'm viewing it through a legal perspective, unbiased, that I believe in being unbiased. And she did those interviews with Jackson there. I didn't know that. And also, I want to say, so Alien is literally talked broken English. And Rachel Rollins had to resign. Okay. You're welcome, buddy. It's another situation here. Lawyers were there with her. They okay it, and they thought the trial should be acquitted. And I do think that it's best for people to not say if they're to do a documentary while they're on trial. There could be exceptions where it's clear as day they didn't do something, like the Temu Boogeyman said they got kicked down a flight of stairs that it doesn't even exist. But I would recommend no one does a documentary like that when they're in the middle of a trial like that. No. And sometimes people get convicted when the burden of proof hasn't been met. Jack Anderson case comes to mind. Well, okay. Well, I think that people with the burden of proof isn't there. Well, thank you, 666. Thank you. And also, sometimes people get convicted when the burden of proof hasn't been met. Zach Anderson case comes to mind. Yeah. And I think that, I remember that. And you're upset about that case not working out. And And that people should not do, but the jurors can do whatever they want, and I don't always agree with them, but yeah, if the burden of proof isn't there, they shouldn't be convicted. But if people think so, they think so. But yeah, I think that it's best to be cautious about that. And also, do you think, though, tell you look a bit like Carlieto, look him up, it's a compliment. Well, thank you, 666. I appreciate it for the compliment. And also Tina says, so dumb, her documentary came right before the second trial. And also Cecil said, Alien, wonder if Karen got paid to do the documentary. That is very well may be. She very well may have been in the she may have been paid to do it. And she was paid to do it. She must have been paid a lot of money to do that, because it doesn't make her case look that great. But yeah, she could have been paid or been promised something that it would help her case or something. Absolutely. She could have been paid, and she could have been desperate. Absolutely. We've seen trials, though, where the defendant ran to the press. Susan Smith did. Yeah, and also, another factor, is she doing it because she wants to get a non-guilty... did she do it because she wanted to get publicity or fame, and fans? But was that a factor? So that's something to take into consideration as well. We've seen trials where defendant ran to the press. Susan Smith did it. Oh. Oh, yeah, there you go. I wasn't upset about the case. I just thought the jury was wrong. The media put it out to get people to divided, and the media loves hatred and division. Ad revenue is generated profits. Ah, excellent, 666. Very brilliant. The media does want to cause division. That's how they make cash money, and they've done it for centuries, I think. They've done it for hundreds of years. They love division, and the media loves hatred and division, and they get all that ad revenue. They make profit off of it, exactly, because, you have one country fighting another, and they all make profit. Both sides make profit from it in the end of the day, so that's something that is taken into consideration. One thing I do like about the Law and Crime chat is that there is unity in the chat. There's people of different religions and different races, and people of different religions and people of different races. Everybody comes together to watch the trials, and I do feel there is unity a lot of times in the chat. That's why I love the Law and Crime chat, because other streams, they may be divided with religion. They want to attack other religions. They want to attack other people politically. Now, it happens at Law and Crime with the different trials, but there is something good that there's unity between different groups that I do admire. And bad stories gets eyes on them. Exactly, because people usually react to negative content the most. Your mind is programmed to react to negative things. And also, Danny says, just like politics, it's divide and conquer. Exactly, Danny. Because politically, people get divided and conquered all the time. And that's how both sides win in the end. Very good point, Danny. Excellent. And Tina says, so much money on those lawyers. It's crazy. You're right. And 666 says, feel-good stories don't generate those eyes and clicks at a person saying a kitten versus a serial deleter, which would make money. Exactly. Because that would just make more. Because that's against people. It's like shock value. It must be a wealthy family she's from. Legal bills have to be out of the Gizios. Exactly. The amount of misinformation in the Law and Crime chat always astounds me, though I should used it by now. Okay, now, chat's saying she's from a wealthy family. Yeah, and, that is true. She is from a wealthy family. And, so did she need more money, or was it some other reason why she did it? Now, another factor, did she get legal counsel before she did the live stream? Before she did the documentary. And yeah, Alan, there's so much misinformation. There's a lot of trolls. There's a lot of dingbats and stuff. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of nonsense that comes with that, group, in the chat, there's a bunch of NPCs that don't know shit. Scared. She was with Ernie Batch Jr. He's worth $600 million. That is quite a bit of cash money. Alan, 3K lawyers in the chat today. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Alan says it's a good thing she's from a wealthy family. A poor person never would have been able to stand up against the corruption. Shout out to the white man user. Appreciate everything you do, sir. And it's another user that's watching. And also, Tina says, Alan, I can't even watch the Karen Read trial in long time. I watch it other lives. I can't with the chat during Karen. Oh, there's people, man. They got some clowns up in there. Lynn says, yeah, I read that. Yeah, completely hilarious. Hilarious. If she was African American, the eyes wouldn't be on her. That's a fact. Though it'd be a dissection. A distraction or whatever. Exactly, 666. I agree. Yeah, definitely. And also, I think completely that certain factors, 666, would cause the thing to be more viral or be more of a situation with the courts. I definitely agree. And yeah, so that is what I meant to say. That is certainly the situation with Reed. It's like Reed's chat in the Law and Crime has a lot of speed. I think they need to chill maybe some weed. That is just an opinion, educational purposes only. I think that a lot of them are goofs and clowns. They need to go take the clown bus and get right out of town. A lot of the people in the chat on both sides are having a big frown. I dropped some bars. Even though it's louder than sound, the speed of sound. Howdy Breeze and Cecil was looking for y'all yesterday. I'm a bit late in the courts. Tina, I'll watch it. Law and Crime either. Yeah, they can't stand Law and Crime. I saw Jesse Weber on some other channels, and he was giving interviews in these podcasts. And that was interesting. He was talking on the Johnny Depp trial and about how their Law and Crime blew up after they did the Johnny Depp trial. And you're talking about Diddy and Epstein and different things like that. I've been on other podcasts before, but not in person, but like calling into a show. Some of y'all know me. Some of y'all know exactly who I'm talking about. No, I like Law and Crime, but not during Karen Read. No, I like Law and Crime too. I like it also. And I'm just saying, what we're saying, Tina, is that, which is not contradicting anything, and what I'm talking about in my rap also, as I'm talking about the Temu trolls in there, the people that are saying goofy things in the chat. I love Law and Crime too. I love it also. And Jesse Weber's cool people, and the other people that talk in there are nice. I like how they finally have Alexandria, another mod in there. I'm also thankful for Kathy Rusin. I like Law and Crime. I'm just saying that what I'm referring to is the people, the trolls and the morons in there that are talking stupid in the chat during Read, and they're causing division. I'm not against Law and Crime. And with the rap I did, I'm referring to the trolls in the chat, not Law and Crime itself. All right, Tina, understood. Glad you agree. And Law and Crime chat has bad reputation in other chats. I lurk in other chats sometimes, and Law and Crime gets bashed. It's pretty funny. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, and some people left Law and Crime because when they took away some of the mods, we all got personally attacked by groups and groups of trolls But now I kept requesting over and over, we need mods, we need mods, we need mods. We need mods. Over and over again. And they finally brought some more mods and some more order there. Order there. I'm glad I was chilling, relaxing, eating a pear. Time to play an instrument, maybe a snare. I put up a wall. The trolls are just wallpaper. I personally don't care. I was glad they took away the mods. Those mods had gotten too heavy. And Alan, as I said, I do think that they were patrolling the chat too much. I'm under both groups, and it does seem like they were. I didn't notice at the time. They let me do whatever I wanted. They love me like everyone else does. But yeah, I do agree with you that they were completely monitoring the chat too much. But it's good to have some mods in there, though. You can't have no mods at all. That's what I disagree with. You can't. Either extreme is bad. So they balance it out. They have Kathy Roos and Alexandria McDonald in there. Shout out to her and the others. So, yeah, as I said, so that's fine, but you see how Kathy Roosin, she just kind of like lets the chat go with the flow, but she's still modding it. So you have to have a balance. But I did like Addie and her mods. I do, thought they were cool people, but I understand what you mean. Experiencing both, I get it now. Yeah, Alan. Yeah. It seems like a lot of streams that I'm involved in seem to have problems. I like the mods, but they have now. I like Addy too, but most of the others were like prison guards. Ah, okay. Understood. But as I said, they're always good to me. That just, when I was in school, the teachers were good to me. Like, and I'm like, this teacher that no one liked, I'm like, well, she's nice to me. They said, oh yeah, you're alien. That's different. But, so as I said, I don't always get the treatment that these other people get. So, I have to get the feedback from other people. TJ says, really, LOL, I don't think so. I actually went to Law and Crime because I thought they were the nicest. And, oh yeah, because there are people, like our group that you're in is, I'd say, the nicest. And there are very nice people there at Law and Crime. And that I talk to and other people talk to. But there are trolls, so there are people that are coming there to cause trouble. Not really anymore, and also there's some people that are fighting in the chat. Like, I'm talking specifically about Reed, not about the other streams we watch. Reed, there's a lot of trolls. There's a lot of people saying misinformation. I'm not talking about Law and Crime in general. But yeah, there were some trolls, but it's the nicest chat you could go for. Like, Pam Coggin was cool people, but she's not at that stream anymore. Dwayne, who used to be there, but he doesn't go there anymore. But no, it's a very, and still, in spite of the trolls and the problems that happen, it's much better now. It's kind of like a stock. It went up and it went down. Now it's going back up. And there's a lot of cool people there, and the group we have are very great. They helped Rebecca when she had a problem where she had it was a seizure, and 49ers mama called the police to get to another state to get Rebecca help. So no, it's a great community. I love the community, and as I said, I like Law and Crime. I like Jesse Weber, all the different hosts and stuff. There will be situations, but it happens at any stream. Any stream you go to on YouTube, you're going to have trolling. You're going to have morons and idiots. There's a yin and a yang, all right? So nothing's going to be perfect. But yeah, I think that it's a very great community of people that come together to watch trials. But I understand there's also cons at the same time that people are talking about. Scared. All right. Yeah, so that's my opinion about the Law and Crime and the different chats and stuff like that. All right. I'm heading out. Have a great night, everyone. Oh, Tina, you have a very blessed evening. You have a very blessed evening, and thank you for coming here. I'm glad that you came here and yeah, Tina, right back at you. And also, we have Breeze that might be going also. So, Breeze, also to you, if you're going. Yeah, and also, another thing that I want to say, actually, thank you, Alien. See you all tomorrow. Yes, see you tomorrow. Right now, actually, the battery of my phone will actually die out at some point, and I myself will be soon ending the stream myself so I could get the phone charged up and all. Now, usually there's these devices you could use to get it charged or have another phone with you. At the moment, I haven't gotten to that yet. But so as I said, I'll be ending the stream soon myself, and we did talk about everything we need to talk about this time. So yeah, it will be ending. But I will say about regarding the Olympic, which is Titanic's sister ship, it was able to survive a torpedo. It rolled over a U-boat, and it got hit by a ship a couple of times, and it survived. So the Titanic sister ship fulfilled the unsinkable ship thing, and it never sunk. So it was improved. So that's something interesting that, to say. Yeah, but with Karen Reed, I'll say, we have to just wait and see and be open-minded about the trials and see how it goes with Karen Reed. To see what way it goes in, what direction it goes in. But it seems that the factors I say hold water for right now. Well, I think I will let you go now. Great talking to you all. Have a great night. All right. All right, and basically, you know what? I will end the stream here because I completed what we had to do, and I do need to get the thing charged up, the phone. And I want to say that I want to thank each and every one of you for coming here because I'll be ending it. And Alan and everybody else, this was a great stream. I loved everybody's take on this. It really was, we got a lot done. It was a good dialogue between us all. And hopefully we will see more truths as they come out in this very difficult trial. Cecil says, okay, Alien, you take care, stay safe. Yes. Good night, everyone. Guess I'll see some of you tomorrow, though they're supposed to do their field trip tomorrow. Oh, okay. Okay, so maybe we'll see each other, maybe not. Okay, everybody. Everybody have a very blessed evening, and peace.